Hey, thank you for checking out the Coach's Locker podcast with Coach Fore. This is episode 42. We are in chapter 10 of my book, Building Championship Caliber Football Programs. Today we're going to talk about building trust and confidence. Building trust and confidence, one of the top 10 most important characteristics of more than 100 state champions from 42 states. We're going to dive right into this right after this intro. You are listening to the Coach's Locker podcast with Coach Fore, a place for all coaches to call home. The Coach's Locker podcast is a part of the Football Coaching Podcast Network. Please visit footballcoachingpodcast.com to hear and see our entire lineup of top football coaches coming to you every single podcast with valuable information to help you and your program. The Coach's Locker podcast with Coach Fore exists to help prepare coaches to be hired for the job of their dreams and to provide coaches with dynamite resources to become even more successful in their field. You can reach me on Twitter at Coach Fore, that's at COACHFORE, and my podcast home is at 8laces.org/podcast. That's 8laces, EIGHTLACES.org/podcast. Welcome to the Coach's Locker podcast with Coach Fore. Now, let's get after it. Hands up, forget about the past, 'cause you and I's everything I ever asked for. Top down round the West Coast. All right, folks, you've made it. I hope you've listened to all of this series. If not, I encourage you to go back, check them out. You can find all of my podcasts at footballcoachingpodcast.com or 8laces, EIGHTLACES.org/podcast. Now, or on iTunes. At footballcoachingpodcast.com, there are 4 others with really great podcasts you can check out. I encourage you to do so. Some really good, and we're all different. Like, all of us have a different kind of focus on our podcast. Joe Daniel has been doing football podcasting since before podcasting was cool. I think he first interviewed me in like 2012, a long time ago. He has a podcast on there. He has a couple different ones. And so, anyway, check that out. Jason Hanstadt, Coach Ron McKee. Again, footballcoachingpodcast.com. But today, building trust and confidence, again, one of the top 10 characteristics of state champion programs from my research, 2011. Might think it's a little outdated. I really don't think it is. I mean, if you were to do the same research I did today, I doubt you would see too many of these chapters, components of a championship caliber football program. I doubt you would see too many of them differing too much. Tim Brabant from Carsonville, Port Santa High School in Michigan says, if you want to win a state championship, you have to get the players to bought into you as much as the program. They have to be willing to sacrifice themselves for the success of the team. They have to believe and honor the fact that they owe their time and dedication to the team, the school, their parents, and the community. They also have to know that you are willing to make the same commitment. Travis Coate from Bishop Guertin High School in New Hampshire. Your players need to trust you and buy into the offensive and defensive schemes that you implement. Larry Glatzek from Centralia Wetmore High School in Kansas. The one important aspect of this year was trust. We had 9 seniors that came together around week 5 and got better and better as the season went. By the playoffs, our kids trusted each other and had a ton of confidence. Take one game at a time and don't let the outside sources impede with what the team wants to accomplish. Stay focused and, most importantly, have fun. This stage is where it all comes together. The leadership, the mental toughness, coaching the heart of the athlete, developing the work ethic, creating team chemistry. None of these things matter if the team does not trust you, their head coach, or you, their position coach. If the captain of the ship lacks the trust and confidence of his crew, it will lead to ineffectiveness and an inability to navigate his ship through the waters to the land of champions. When the head coach loses the trust and confidence of his players, coaches, administration, and community, he becomes nothing more than an obstacle for his team to reach peak performance. The players must have trust and confidence in not only the head coach, but also his coaching staff, the X's and O's between the field, and the overall philosophy of the program. Do your players trust you? Do they have confidence in your systems? Do the other coaches on your staff trust you? Do the parents of your players have confidence that you're going to treat their sons the right way and develop them as young men? How about your administration? Do they have your back? Building trust and confidence takes time. It doesn't just happen overnight. Kim Nelson from Roosevelt High School in South Dakota said, "Buy-in was our biggest difference. Our players bought into our system and believed in what we were doing in all aspects of our program. We didn't play anyone who was not willing to do what we asked and play where we asked them to. We didn't give up on them, but playing time was the reward that seemed to motivate best. Believing in something bigger than you was a theme that was also effective. Our team slogan is team, pride, and trust, and we were able to use that to keep us up and focused on our goals." Mike Favero from Logan High School in Utah. Trust. The most important aspect or characteristic of a great leader is that he can be trusted. Trust is developed by being honest, remaining consistent, and always following through with what you say you are going to do. Billy Kirch from Waverly South Shore High School in South Dakota. Start with trust. Coaches trust each other. Coaches trust players, and most importantly, players must trust themselves, their teammates, and their coaches. Trust is a two-way street. Do not be afraid to give the kids some ownership in what you do and allow them to make plays by not limiting what they are truly capable of. We let the kids come up with verbal calls to communicate the plays to the entire offense, and rarely did we have a missed assignment. When the kids had a suggestion, we listened. They took ownership, and we averaged about 45 points a game. That's from Ray Steele, Indian River High School in Delaware. From Dan Hagen's Piscataway High School in New Jersey. Pay attention to your players and focus on trying to get the most out of them. You must put the toughest players on the field and play to their strengths. Flexibility in schemes is very important. Don't try to force plays or schemes on them that they can't get. Motivate them daily with goals and themes for the week. If you believe in them, they will believe in you. For the most part, teenagers today just do not automatically trust you because you are their head coach or their coordinator or their position coach. They just do not have that automatic respect for the position anymore, like you and I probably did. You have to learn that trust as a person. You have to earn that trust as a person. Most of you reading this would have never questioned your head coach, your coordinator, or your position coach. Kids today are just different. They want to be trusted just as much as you do. Trust is a two-way street. It's like a bank account. The more you put into trusting the kids, the more you'll be able to withdraw their trust in you. The more you give them ownership of the program, the more they will have trust and confidence in you as the leader. They want to be trusted. They want to stand up and be responsible for their program. Find ways to do this in your program. I shared earlier in this book about the player committee that I've used for a long time. The committee is a great format to show the players I trust in them. It's a way to help develop that two-way street of trust with the team. Tell them the truth. Bruce Kuzerski from Holy Cross High School in Kentucky said, "Confidence was the most important aspect of our league championship season. We fixed so many issues we had with our own fundamentals that one win after another, our confidence grew and we really began to believe in what we were doing. We got it right at the right time. We learned about ourselves early in the season and fixed us. This is developed through hard work and continued positive reinforcement of good play performances. Coach Kozerski brings up a great point about growing confidence in your players. Confidence grows as your players see themselves becoming better as the season progresses. The main way this happens is through film study and review. Are you honest with your players during film? Are you honest with your players about your upcoming opponent? Do not sugarcoat what you are facing in the next opponent. Doing so will make your players question you. If you fail to tell your players how good or bad the upcoming team is, if you're not watching film of them and the kids go out and are surprised by what happens on Friday night, how do you think they will approach your comments the next time you give them a scouting report? I've always believed in being very honest with my players. They will come to trust your judgment and your ability if you are upfront with them. If you try to look past their mistakes in the film room, other players will know it. They will see right through it. You will lose credibility with the players. Don't be afraid to correct your kids. Doing so will not only make your team better, but they will gain confidence as they fix their technique week by week. Give your kids confidence in practice. Mark Buderis from Florence High School in Colorado. Believe you can win or have a chance to win every game. Extreme preparation in situations in practice. Nothing will give your players confidence on the field better than putting them in positions during the practice week that they will see on Friday night. For most of you, this is an absolute no-brainer, but I'm always surprised to hear about programs that never practice game-specific situations their kids will be in. Do you format your practices in such a way that you move all over the field and practice many different situations your kids might be in on Friday night? I watched the 2008 California State Champions St. Margaret's of San Juan Capistrano practice during championship week. Harry Welch was the head coach at the time. He has won 3 state championships with 3 different programs in California: Canyon in 2006, St. Margaret's in 2008, and Santa Margarita in 2011. They practiced field goals for about 30 minutes that day. I was surprised to see a team practice field goals for so long in their 15th week of the season. They practiced getting it blocked. They practiced bad snaps. They practiced fakes. Everything. Coach Welch wanted his kids to be in the perfect position. So they went through any of these scenarios they might face on game night. Building confidence in your players during practice is a key to getting the most out of them on Friday night. I've seen so many coaches try to just throw something in on Thursday and expect kids to execute it flawlessly on Friday. It just does not work that way. They need the confidence of repetitions. I have a play in my playbook for 2-point conversions that my kids gave the name Money a few years ago because it worked so well in practice. They had so much confidence in this play. The first time we were in the position where we needed 2 points, what do you think they yelled at me towards the sidelines? Putting together a practice script is the key to making sure that your coaching staff puts your kids in many different positions on the practice field to build their confidence. Many coaches can get in the rut of just running their offensive team time for 40 minutes between 30-yard lines. They never put their team in down and distance situations. Practice red zone offense, red zone defense, 3rd and long, 4th and short, fake punts, kicking after safety, etc. If you do not write this down in a practice script, you're probably never going to practice these different things. Do what you say and say what you do. Trust is like respect. You don't just get it, you must earn it. Gaining the trust of your players will happen if you are a consistent person. As the head coach, you must do what you say and say what you do. Your players and coaching staff will learn to trust that your word is your bond over a period of time of you doing what you say you will do. You've probably all worked for someone in your life who failed to do this. You learned that you could not trust their word. They never followed through on meeting plans and simply blew off doing things they committed to. Those people are not fun to follow, are they? Once you lose trust in a person, you stop respecting them. Building trust in your players starts with doing what you say you will do. A major part of this idea of doing what you say and saying what you do comes in the form of following through on team policies and procedures. Nothing will destroy the trust and confidence of your team more than treating players differently. If you tell your players that they will run 2 laps if they are late, make every athlete who is late run 2 laps. If you have a rule about what to wear in practice and your starting quarterback fails to wear that right pants to practice, you have a choice. Discipline him per your team policy, or let it slide because you don't want to alienate the star. If you fail to discipline kids because they are stars, your non-stars are going to learn not to trust your word. If you tell a team during film on Saturday, anyone late on Monday runs, and you fail to follow through, kids will see this. They will not trust or respect you. Among your coaching staff, if you are a head coach who is reading this book, let me ask you this, or listen to this podcast, let me ask you this question. How is the trust and confidence among your staff? Do they trust you? Do they have confidence in you? Have you ever asked them about this? Creating trust and confidence among your staff is just as important. Some might argue it is more important as developing it amongst your troops. It's vital that every coach on your staff trusts not only you, but each other. It's crucial that you have confidence in one another. I've made a few questionable hires in my time as a head coach. Sometimes you never know until you get into the meat of your schedule how a coach will really turn out. It is an awful feeling working with someone day in and day out that you do not have trust and confidence in. Back in 2003, my good friend and mentor, Perry Crochelle, resigned his position as head coach at Linfield Christian. I was the varsity offensive line coach, varsity special teams coordinator, and JV head coach. There are about 8 other guys on our staff. I was the newest member of our staff there. However, I was the head JV coach, and Coach Crochelle told me he wanted me to have the job to take over when he left. He told me that he had recommended me to the administration to take over. I was not sure what the others on the staff might think of this. Most of the staff were walk-on coaches and just weren't around much during the off-season. I was coaching varsity baseball at that time as well. I'll never forget one day when our defensive coordinator, Bear Schoolmeister, stopped by baseball practice to talk about the football coach search. I did not really know at the time where he was with his idea of me taking over. Bear is a great football coach, one of the best I've ever been around. So his opinion mattered more to me than any of the other coaches on our staff at the time. He was the most seasoned out of all of them. I had only known him for about a year and a half at this point. Not real well yet. I was nervous as he came up and said, "Coach, need to chat with you about the head football job." I thought maybe he wanted it. He had coached for far longer than I had at this point, but he said to me, "They better pick you for this job. Perry told me he recommended you. Dude, you are the perfect fit for this job." All of a sudden, with Coach Bear's approval, I had all the confidence in the world. He trusted me. He had confidence in me to become his boss. That meant the world to me. We are great friends to this day. He has been my defensive coordinator longer than anyone else. In fact, when I left that school in 2006, he came to help me out at another school when that defensive coordinator there was struggling. He drove 3 hours round trip to come help our football team that year. Now this is a dedicated man and friend. It all started with having trust and confidence in each other as assistant coaches, working side by side, and it built over the years. You have got to have that kind of trust and confidence in each other. As a head coach, it's your job to make this happen. Here's a few more thoughts on trust and confidence. Ken Lucas from Annapolis Area Christian School in Maryland. Team unity and faith as one unit was the most important aspect of our state champion program. Our team believed it was possible to win. Belief doesn't always do it alone. However, it's a good start. I'm not talking about being cocky or overconfident. I'm merely talking about working hard and believing in each other's ability within that team. We preach team unity and practice team unity. I believe team unity is a big part of team success. Jim Hartman from Yarmouth High School in Maine. I think the biggest difference for us was the attitude of the program. Not just from the players, but everyone in the program. The program established the goal of winning our second championship in a row, and it was the focus of all that we did. We all believed every lift in the weight, every lap, and every rep in practice, every fundraiser, and every meal for the team was about being a champion. Everyone also believed we were going to be champions. Therefore, practice, games, booster meetings, and everything else had a meaning. We were, I believe, the best conditioned team, allowing us to persevere when our opponents wilted late in the game. Our players were the most determined team. Jim Hartman also says, belief in each other, the system and the goal, absolutely the difference this year for us. I think in that order. To develop the belief, we walked it. We preached it and lived it. With positive attitudes from everyone involved. We do not allow a negative thought to be spoken or acted upon. Using the word can't is immediate lapse. Mark Gibson from Bismarck High School in North Dakota. Our kids believe they're going to make it to the finals and win every season. We talked from day one about making it to the finals, and anything else would be a disappointment. We have a great tradition, which helps us a great deal, because every group doesn't want to be the team to disappoint past players who built this program. We talk about that daily. Our football team expects to win every time they step on the field. This has been developed by years of hard work and dedication to our program. We believe we out-prepare every opponent we face. We do this by our off-season and summer programs and also intense film study of our opponents through the week. One of our favorite quotes is, the will to prepare to win must be greater than the will to win. In this year's playoff alone, we won 2 games by 2 and 2 games by 3. We were losing in the fourth quarter in 3 of the 4 games. We just believed we will always find a way to win. That's from Jeff Craddock, head coach at Tarboro High School in North Carolina. Straight Heron from South Point High School in South Carolina. I think the most important part was attitude. South Point has been successful in football since the school opened only 7 short years ago. Our players know that we have gained that success because of their basic God-given athletic ability. This year, I challenged our players by asking them, how good could you be? The players knew they had to change their attitude to reach their best potential. That change in attitude created a better work ethic, more team unity, more dedication, and more individual character, which I believe is imperative to winning. Chris Miller from Burns High School in South Carolina said, confidence and believing we could win, something that has been produced through the years that the seniors continue to carry to the next team. And now time for our timeout section. I think this chapter 10 was our shortest chapter on building trust and confidence. Timeout question number 1. How do you currently build trust and confidence in your program? Do you have a system in place to help you do this? Question number 2. Did you have any issues with trust and confidence last season? If so, why do you think those problems persisted? Question 3. Travis Coate, head coach at Bishop Guertin in New Hampshire, said, your players need to trust you and buy into the offensive and defensive schemes that you implement. If I stepped foot on your campus tomorrow, would your players tell me that they have bought into your systems? Why or why not? Question 4. Think of a time that you failed to make your word your bond. What were the results of that with your players? Having just read this chapter on building trust and confidence, how would you have handled that situation differently? Question 5. Do you have written team rules, policies, and procedures? Do you stick to those for the sake of everyone in your program? That's a mistake I see a lot of coaches making right there. Folks, that's it. I really, really, really enjoyed going through this book again. You know, it's been some years since I've actually read it, but this was fun. This was fun to put this all on these 10 different podcasts. If you're interested in the book, you can purchase it at 8laces.org. That's EIGHTLACES.org. In the back, it's my favorite part of the book. It's the appendix, survey responses from the contributing state champion head football coaches. So all the coaches surveyed were sent the same 3 questions. Some responded to each question separately, while others provided one general reply. Their responses are all included in this appendix in the format in which they were received, and all 3 questions are repeated in each coach's profile for the ease of reference. It's all, so again, I have 106 coaches from 42 states. For instance, the first one, Alabama, AISA Division III. Coach, Josh Wright. School, Bessemer Academy. City, Bessemer. 2011 record, 12-1, 5-1. Championship game results, Bessemer 35, Glenwood 21. State championships at the school, 5. Years as a head coach, 5. Years at current school, 5. State championships he's won as a head coach, 1. And then I ask him the 3 questions. What did you do differently this year from the other programs in your league, your section, your state that enabled your success as a state champion? Second question, what piece of advice would you give to a head coach who wants to win a state championship? And then question 3, what do you consider the one most important aspect of your championship team this year? How did you develop that in your program? So I asked all 100 plus coaches these same 3 questions, and I typed out their answers, their entire answers for you, so you can go through this appendix and check this out. For instance, I'll turn to one more here. Michigan Division 7 coach Mike Boyd. School, Novell Catholic High School. City, Saginaw. 2011 record, 13-0. Championship game results, Novell Catholic Central, 56. Pewamo, Westphalia, 26. State championships won at that school. They've won 3. Years as the head coach, 13. Years at the current school, 13. State championships won as a head coach, all 3. So he won all 3 at that school. 3 state championships in 13 years. So again, we kind of go through all 106 coaches in the appendix, and it's probably my favorite section of the book. You can buy that book, Building Championship Caliber Football Programs. Folks, please buy it right on my website, 8laces, EIGHTLACES.org. I suppose you can go to Amazon as well. You could probably pick it up there used. If you want to Venmo me the money, you can Venmo it at Coach Fore, COACHFORE. It's $24. That includes shipping. Shipping is $6 for me. It goes out to you first class with a tracking number. PayPal, coach478@gmail.com, or you can use any form of payment there on my website, 8laces.org. I thank you for listening. If you do enjoy this, please go to iTunes, give me 5 stars. That would be awesome. If you think it's only worthy of 4 stars, do that. Do what your heart tells you. Until next time, folks, again, we're going to be following up. My next 2 podcast episodes, 43 and 44, are going to be with head football coaches right here in Southern California. Bert Esposito at Temecula Valley High School took that team from 0-10 to the quarterfinals. And Pete Karavitas at Sunny Hills High School has done a dynamite job. Last season won the most games they've won there in 20 years. Had some outstanding wins over programs they hadn't beaten in a long time. So I look forward to sharing those with you. Until next time, this is Chris Fore with the Coach's Locker Podcast.